Good afternoon, everyone, and honorable guests. We are delighted to welcome everyone to the AI-based telemedicine for COVID-19 patients workshop. Let me introduce myself. I'm Rafael Reynaldi. I'm currently in my third year of university, majoring in computer science, and I'm a part of the Venus University research team.
Today, I'm joined with Ardelia Araminta, and we will be accompanying you today as your MCs.
Selamat siang semuanya dan tamu-tamu yang terhormat yang bergabung di hari yang berbahagia ini. Dengan senang hati kami menyambut Anda ke workshop kami yang berjudul AI-based telemedicine for COVID-19 patients. Saya Adelia Araminta. Saat ini saya berada di tahun ketiga di jurusan ilmu komputer dan saya adalah bagian dari tim peneliti BINUS. Hari ini saya bergabung dengan Rafael Renaldi dan kami adalah MC Anda hari ini.
Before we get started, there are a few rules we would like to point out for both the participants attending this workshop, online and offline. Number 1, please kindly open your camera during the workshop. Number 2, please mute your microphone at all times during the workshop. You will be allowed to unmute the microphone to speak if the committee has invited you to do so. Number 3, if you have any questions, please write them in the chat box. There will be a Q&A session at the end of the workshop. And number 4, no food and beverages are allowed in the auditorium.
Sebelum kita mulai, ada beberapa aturan yang ingin kami tunjukkan baik untuk peserta dalam menghadiri workshop ini secara online maupun offline. Pertama, silakan buka kamera Anda selama workshop berlangsung. Kedua, harap matikan mikrofon Anda setiap saat selama workshop berlangsung. Anda akan diizinkan untuk menyalakan mikrofon untuk berbicara jika panitia telah mengundang Anda untuk melakukannya. Ketiga, jika Anda memiliki pertanyaan, silakan tulis di kolom chat. Sesi tanya jawab akan diadakan di akhir workshop. Dan terakhir, dilarang membawa makanan dan minuman ke dalam auditorium.
This workshop is a collaboration between the University of York with Venus University and Pasar Minggu Hospital, Jakarta. It is an honor for me to introduce and welcome our distinguished guests.
Workshop ini adalah kerjasama antara University of York dengan Venus University dan RSUD Pasar Minggu, Jakarta. Ini adalah suatu kehormatan bagi saya untuk memperkenalkan dan menyambut tamu-tamu terhormat kami.
First up, we have Dr. Tirta Nugraha Mustitama, PhD, as the representative from Venus International. Next, we have Dr. Dimitar Kazakov as the representative from the University of York. We also have Sir Dr. Sri Duni Atas Asri, SPP, as the representative of Pasar Minggu Regional Hospital, Jakarta. We also have Professor Dr. Insinyur Muhammad Faiz Yuaib, M.IGR, as the representative of the Ministry of Education, Culture, Research and Technology. Lastly, we have Dr. Mr. Hugh Moffat, as the representative of the British Council of Indonesia.
Pertama kami memiliki Dr. Tirta Nugraha Mursitama, PhD, sebagai perwakilan dari Venus International. Selanjutnya kami memiliki Dr. Dimitar Kazakov sebagai perwakilan dari University of York. Kami juga memiliki Dr. Sriduni Atas Asri, spesialis paru, sebagai perwakilan RSUD Pasar Minggu, Jakarta. Kami juga memiliki Profesor Dr. Insinyur Muhammad Faiz Yuaib, Master of Agribusiness, sebagai perwakilan dari Kementerian Pendidikan, Kebudayaan, Riset dan Teknologi. Kami juga memiliki Mr. Hugh Moffat sebagai perwakilan dari British Council Indonesia.
Now, let us hear a welcoming speech from Dr. Professor Tirta Nugraha Mustitama, PhD, Vice Rector of Research and Technology Transfer of Venus International. We would like to kindly invite Dr. Tirta to come forward, please.
Sekarang mari kita dengar sambutan dari Profesor Dr. Tirta Nugraha Mursitama, PhD, Wakil Rektor Riset dan Alih Teknologi Venus International. Kami mohon dengan hormat mengundang Dr. Tirta untuk maju ke panggung. Kami persilahkan, Dr.
Okay, thank you. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you can hear my voice clearly. First of all, I would like to say I'm sorry I cannot attend physically in the auditorium of Venus International today because I just returned from the one occasion represented Venus University as well. I would like to welcome once again our colleague, Dr. Dimitar Kazakov, and all the partners from RSUD Pasar Minggu, and also the Director of Research and Technology and Community Services, Professor Muhammad Shu'aib, and also the representative from the British Council, and all the researchers, specifically Bu Dr. Nunung, who has been working very hard to make this workshop happen today. We know that the workshop is one of the occasion or activity that can be used to enhance the capacity of researchers, not only lecturers, but also the capacity of students. In this kind of workshop, the students can learn directly from the lead investigators or from the distinguished professors from University of York in this occasion. And Professor Kazakov can also give instruction or teach or also speak, and maybe in terms of the gesture, also we can learn from him as a world-class researchers in the field of AI and health application. And secondly, the topic itself, I think this is a very important in the world of today, post COVID-19, which is the AI and combined with the application in the health industry is very important. Therefore, on behalf of Venus International, I would like to welcome, of course, we support this kind of workshop, and hopefully all the participants can get benefit from this kind of workshop. And furthermore, the students and also the researchers of Venus universities can also create additional advantage in the joint research, the possible of the joint research in the future, or even the joint publication in the future as well. Once again, thank you, Professor Kazakov and Dr. Nunung, and also all the participants, all the representatives from the institution that make this workshop happen. And I hope that your contribution for the future project can also still be continued in the future. Once again, thank you, and then I hope you enjoy the workshop. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Tirta, for the welcoming speech. Next up, please welcome Dr. Dimitar Kazakov from the Computer Science Department at the University of York, who will give us their opening remarks. Dr. Dimitar, you are welcomed on stage.
Terima kasih Dr. Tirta atas sambutannya. Selanjutkan kami persilahkan perwakilan dari Departemen Ilmu Komputer, Dr. Dimitar Kazakov, untuk naik ke atas panggung. Kami persilahkan, Dokter.
Thank you. Thank you for the introduction. So, due to the time zone difference and also the summertime, we're not going to have someone join us from York, but instead I'm going to say just a few words about our university and how this project fits in our profile and with our ethos. So, very briefly, the University of York is one of the 1960s universities that emerged in York, in the United Kingdom, but it's already a Russell Group University, which is a very prestigious group of universities in the UK, and accordingly or befittingly, the research at the university has been rated in the top 10 in the country in the recent research assessment. I come from the computer science department where where I'm based, the main part of the work from the UK end is done. This is a department which has been around for 50 years, so we've just marked the 50 years anniversary, and so in computer science years, this is a long time. And we also rated, we were ranked 9th in the 2021 research assessment exercise, which is it's a very respectable result, I would say, even if I speak about ourselves. And I'm from the artificial intelligence group, which I coordinated for a couple of years until recently. This is a group with a long tradition since 1999, when the group emerged through a merger between two previous groups, the intelligence systems group and the machine learning group. So in a sense, I'm one of the founding members of that group, because I've been in New York since 1998, I think. The group, in its present reincarnation, is focused on machine learning, so in line with that history, and modeling data with complex structure, so both text, images, tabular data, and so on, ontology, structured data. So that fits very well the profile of this project. And maybe just to go back to the university level, this is a university which has, also has the York Hull Medical School as part of it. And we also have a long tradition in the health sciences, and in particular, for instance, in health economics. So Joseph Rowntree was someone who started this research on poverty, but also health-related issues quite a long time ago, in the 19th century. And in a sense, that tradition has been carried on until the present day. So research which combines the technical skills which York has been recognized for with the application to health is something that fits very well the profile of the university and the department and the group. So it's a project that is exciting and fits the research environment on many levels. So that's why there is a lot of interest in it, and that's why I hope that that collaboration will carry on for as long as we can. So thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Dimitar, for your opening remarks. Now we invite Dr. Sri Duni Atas Asri, Specialist Paru, representing Pasar Minggu Hospital, Jakarta, to come on stage and give us a short remark.
Terima kasih Dr. Dimitar untuk sambutannya. Kami sekarang mengundang Dr. Sri Duni Atas Asri, Spesialis Paru mewakili RSUD Pasar Minggu, Jakarta, untuk naik ke panggung dan memberikan sambutan singkat. Kami persilakan Ibu.
Terima kasih atas kesempatannya. Thank you for the chance for me to stand here with Binus University team and with Dimitar from the York University and with British Council representative and all the invitees. Would you please let me read the message from our director from RSUD Pasar Minggu in Bahasa. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Salam sejahtera untuk kita semua. Puji syukur senantiasa kita panjatkan kepada Allah Subhanahu wa taala karena limpahan rahmat dan ridhonya kepada kita semua sehingga kita dapat hadir di sini baik dalam luring ataupun daring. Pada kesempatan ini saya mewakili pimpinan RSUD Pasar Minggu Jakarta yang belum dapat hadir sendiri dalam acara ini karena ada tugas yang bersamaan. Pimpinan kami menyampaikan selamat dan sukses serta salam hormat dan penghargaan yang setinggi-tingginya kepada jajaran pimpinan Universitas Bina Nusantara dan seluruh panitia yang tentunya setelah bekerja sungguh-sungguh sebagai tuan rumah acara ini dan hingga acara ini terwujud. Dan kepada seluruh undangan yang tentunya telah memiliki kontribusi yang luar biasa. Rumah sakit RSUD Pasar Minggu merupakan salah satu rumah sakit milik pemerintah daerah tipe B non-pendidikan yang terletak di pusat Jakarta Selatan. Dan saat ini RSUD Pasar Minggu sedang mempersiapkan diri untuk menghadapi akreditasi rumah sakit pendidikan. Dalam hal penelitian, pimpinan kami sangat mendukung karena penelitian dapat memberikan pertimbangan dalam mengambil keputusan, kebijakan, serta memberikan solusi dalam memecahkan berbagai masalah. Dan juga RSUD Pasar Minggu sangat mendukung pengembangan teknologi artificial intelligence yang khususnya di bidang kesehatan yang diharapkan dapat membantu mengatasi kompleksitas masalah COVID, diantaranya dalam pengolahan data, menganalisis data, serta mendeteksi kondisi kegawatan pasien secara lebih dini. Integrasi teknologi AI ke dalam industri medis memungkinkan lebih banyak kemudahan termasuk dalam otomatisasi tugas-tugas serta analisis data pasien yang dalam jumlah besar demi perawatan kesehatan yang lebih baik, lebih cepat, dan lebih terjangkau. Beberapa hal lain yang dapat kita lihat tentu saja dalam penerapan AI ini adalah untuk menegakkan diagnosis agar lebih cepat dan tepat, serta memudahkan pengobatan, mendiagnosis prediktif, serta telemedicine. Walaupun di Indonesia mungkin saat ini fungsi AI masih sangat terbatas, namun kami yakin akan terus berkembang sehingga kami RSUD Pasar Minggu yang berada di bawah pemerintah daerah DKI Jakarta harus ikut berperan serta mengembangkan teknologi kesehatan untuk kepentingan masyarakat Jakarta pada khususnya dan Indonesia pada umumnya. Walaupun dikatakan bahwa pandemi COVID ini sudah selesai, namun kami yakin penelitian dan pengaplikasian teknologi AI ini akan lebih banyak dan terus berkembang dan dilakukan. Dan penerapan ini tentunya dapat membantu dalam berbagai hal, terutama pencegahan penyakit, menegakkan diagnosis, prognosis, dan pengobatan. RSUD Pasar Minggu sangat menghargai dan juga mendukung untuk peran serta dalam penelitian bersama Universitas Bina Nusantara, York University, dan afiliasinya. Dan terima kasih atas kerja keras teman-teman semua dalam beberapa waktu ini membangun kerjasama, kekompakan, serta koordinasi yang baik. Semoga kita dapat lebih baik lagi ke depan dan selalu diberikan kesehatan dan dimudahkan dalam segala urusan. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you, Dr. Sri Duni, for your speech. Next, we have Dr. Gigi Nunik, representing Dinas Kesehatan Kepala Bidang PPI.
Terima kasih Dr. Sri Duni atas Asri SPP atas sambutan yang diberikan. Selanjutnya kita ingin mengundang Kepala Bidang PPI, Dr. Nunik dari Dinas Kesehatan. Kami persilahkan.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Nun Iria Sundari, and today I will be representing Ibu Kepala Dinas Kesehatan Provinsi DKI Jakarta, Ibu Dr. Dikti, on the opening remarks. And if I may, I will read the opening remarks in Bahasa. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Salam sejahtera untuk kita semua. Pertama-tama marilah kita panjatkan puji syukur kehadirat Allah Subhanahu wa taala atas limpahan rahmat dan karunia-Nya sehingga kita semua bisa berkumpul dalam acara workshop pada siang hari ini untuk hasil penelitian AI-based telemedicine for COVID-19 patients. Hadirin yang kami hormati, kolaborasi, transparansi, dan berbasis sains merupakan pesan dari Bapak Gubernur DKI Jakarta dalam strategi penanganan COVID-19. Dan kami, pemerintah Provinsi DKI Jakarta, dalam beberapa tahun ini sudah berkolaborasi dengan banyak pihak dalam penanganan COVID-19 dengan mengusung prinsip kolaborasi pentahelix, yaitu kolaborasi antara pemerintah dengan akademisi, industri, masyarakat, media, dan pemerintah lainnya. Berbagai kegiatan kami juga sudah dilaksanakan mulai dari penelitian ilmiah, penyusunan regulasi, sosialisasi, promosi kesehatan. Kalau Bapak Ibu sudah lihat bagaimana pelaksanaan vaksinasi dan sentra-sentra vaksinasi didukung oleh pihak-pihak selain pemerintah seperti pihak swasta ataupun lembaga-lembaga lainnya. Dan dalam penanganan COVID ini, transparansi data merupakan salah satu kunci keberhasilan Jakarta dalam pengendalian COVID. Data kami COVID-19 dipublikasikan di kanal-kanal web resmi Jakarta, baik itu jumlah kasus aktif, kasus meninggal, cakupan imunisasi, ketersediaan tempat tidur di rumah sakit pun itu dapat diakses oleh masyarakat. Supaya hal ini dilakukan supaya semua pihak ikut berperan serta dalam menganalisis dan memberikan rekomendasi terbaik bagi Jakarta dalam penanganan COVID-19. Kalau melihat tadi arahan Bapak tentang berbasis sains, dengan adanya keterbukaan data dan informasi, diharapkan banyak pihak dapat memanfaatkan data dan terbukti bahwa data dan informasi ini dapat menjadi referensi berbagai pihak dalam menilai kondisi COVID-19 di Indonesia. Berbagai data ini juga bisa menjadi dasar penyusunan regulasi dan pedoman penata laksanaan COVID-19. Bahkan beberapa paper ilmiah juga sudah dihasilkan bersama-sama para ASN DKI Jakarta berkolaborasi dengan berbagai pihak dan sudah dimanfaatkan di beberapa jurnal baik di dalam maupun di luar negeri. Seperti contohnya aplikasi Corona Likelihood Metric, waktu itu sudah aplikasi kolaborasi dengan Harvard University menggunakan teknologi AI. Jadi memang pada kesempatan ini harapan kami bahwa dari hasil paparan penelitian pemanfaatan data COVID khususnya ini di Rumah Sakit Pasar Minggu dengan menggunakan AI ini dapat membantu memberikan pelayanan yang lebih baik khususnya dalam penanganan COVID-19. Terima kasih banyak kepada seluruh pihak yang sudah bekerja sama dalam menyelesaikan penelitian ini. Semoga penelitian ini dapat bermanfaat bagi seluruh pihak. Demikian sambutan yang dapat disampaikan. Wabillahi taufiq wal hidayah. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you, Dr. Nunik, for your remarks. Next, we would like to invite Professor Dr. Insinyur Muhammad Faiz Suaib, Magister Agribusiness from the Ministry of Education, Culture, Research, and Technology.
Terima kasih Dr. Nunik atas sambutan yang diberikan. Selanjutnya kami mengundang Profesor Dr. Insinyur Muhammad Faiz Shoaib, Master of Agribusiness dari Kementerian Pendidikan, Kebudayaan, Riset, dan Teknologi. Kami persilakan Profesor Muhammad Faiz Shoaib untuk naik ke atas panggung.
Terima kasih Bapak Ibu atas waktunya. Mohon maaf, kebetulan Pak Direktur ternyata berhalangan hadir, sehingga saya yang mau Direktur kami adalah Pak Direktur Profesor Muhammad Faiz Suaib, yaitu dari Direktur Riset, Teknologi, dan Pengabdian kepada Masyarakat. Perkenalkan, saya Arlin Puspa Putri, saya sebagai Koordinator Penelitian di Direktorat Riset, Teknologi, dan Pengabdian kepada Masyarakat atau DRTPM. Ya, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Selamat siang Bapak Ibu, salam sejahtera bagi kita semua. Yang saya hormati Bapak Pimpinan Perguruan Tinggi BINUS yang diwakili oleh Bapak Wakil Rektor. Yang saya hormati Bapak Ibu narasumber, baik dari University of York, dari Rumah Sakit Umum Daerah Pasar Minggu Jakarta, maupun dari Dinas Kesehatan Pemerintah Jakarta. Dan yang saya hormati Bapak Ibu dosen, mahasiswa, serta seluruh rekan-rekan sivitas akademik yang hadir dalam acara workshop pada hari ini. Pertama-tama kami ucapkan puji syukur Alhamdulillah pada siang hari ini dalam keadaan sehat walafiat kita semua dapat hadir dalam acara workshop hasil penelitian AI-based telemedicine for COVID-19 patient. Workshop ini adalah hasil penelitian dari Universitas Bina Nusantara dengan RSUD Pasar Minggu Jakarta, juga dengan Universitas of York University of Kingdom dalam skema penelitian kerjasama luar negeri antara DRTPM dengan Newton Fund British Council. Kami di DRTPM sangat mengapresiasi dan berterima kasih atas hasil kerja keras Ibu Nunung Nurul Komariah PhD yang dalam hal ini sebagai Ketua Peneliti BINUS telah menciptakan inovasi untuk membantu penanganan pasien COVID-19 dengan memanfaatkan teknologi artificial intelligence jarak jauh. Kita semua tahu bahwa pandemi COVID-19 ini mengakibatkan hampir semua kegiatan menjadi berbeda dengan keadaan sebelum ada COVID-19 ini. Saat ini kami di DRTPM melalui skema-skema penelitian yang kami maupun tahun-tahun berikutnya, memang kami fokuskan ada 5 bidang fokus utama. Dan secara langsung kemandirian kesehatan adalah salah satu 5 bidang fokus utama yang kami fokuskan untuk penelitian sampai tahun 2024. 5 bidang fokus utama tersebut adalah green economy, blue economy, green technology, kemandirian kesehatan, serta pariwisata. Jadi terima kasih pada Ibu Nunung Nurul. Penelitiannya ini merupakan salah satu penelitian yang kami fokuskan karena merupakan kemandirian kesehatan di Indonesia. Kami mengharapkan dalam era transformasi menuju masa digital ini, angka partisipasi pendidikan tinggi dalam menguatkan mutu pendidikan tinggi melalui pendidikan, penelitian maupun pengabdian kepada masyarakat Tridharma perguruan tinggi dapat meningkat, serta hasil Tridharma perguruan tingginya dapat dimanfaatkan oleh masyarakat secara luas. Kami mendukung bahwa untuk menciptakan talenta SDM ITEK dan pencipta ITEK, maka perguruan tinggi harus memberikan solusi bagi permasalahan bangsa melalui Tridharma perguruan tinggi. Kami mengharapkan perguruan tinggi untuk terus mengikuti perkembangan teknologi agar permasalahan yang ada di berbagai bidang saat ini di Indonesia bisa diselesaikan oleh kita masyarakat Indonesia sendiri. Kami berharap masyarakat Indonesia bisa menjadi raja di negeri sendiri. Kita tidak perlu lagi melakukan mengimpor barang-barang produk kesehatan. Kita mampu menciptakan kreasi dari hasil karya bangsa kita sendiri. Sekali lagi kami mengucapkan selamat untuk Ibu Nunung Nurul Komariah yang telah selesai penelitiannya, dan kami mengharapkan selanjutnya baik dari Universitas BINUS maupun universitas lain juga dapat meningkatkan penelitiannya sehingga hasil penelitiannya dapat kita manfaatkan secara bersama. Terima kasih. Semoga acara ini terselenggara dengan baik dan semoga Allah SWT selalu meridhoi semua langkah kita. Terima kasih Bapak Ibu. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you, Ibu Putri, for your opening remarks. Next up, we'd like to welcome Mr. Hugh Moffat, an honorable representative from the British Council of Indonesia, who will give us his remarks.
Terima kasih Ibu atas sambutan pembukaannya. Selanjutnya kami ingin menyambut Dr. Hugh Moffat, perwakilan terhormat dari British Council Indonesia yang akan memberikan sambutan secara singkat. Dipersilakan Mr. Hugh Moffat untuk datang ke atas panggung.
Thank you, and good afternoon, everybody. Very nice to be here in Bunus. Thank you so much. Let me just recognise that everyone who's already spoken, and again, a testimony to this amazing partnership across business, industry, academy, and social impact you can see in a programme such as this. But first to mention Professor Dr. Mohammed, Director of Research of Technology and Community Services of Kemdikbudristek, Dr. Nunik from Dinas Kesehatan Jakarta. Of course, thank you to Dr. Tirta from BINUS, and Dr. Sri from Pasar Minggu. To also reference Raymond Bahana, MSc, Head of Computer Science of BINUS, Nunung Nurul Komariyah, PhD. I'll try it with the pronunciation. I was trying to practice that and it didn't come. The Indonesian Principal Investigator BINUS, and Dr. Dimitar Kazakov and Professor Paul Cairns, Department of Computer Science, York University, UK Principal Investigators, and of course medical practitioners from hospitals in Jakarta and Central Java. And I've probably missed a few people in what I've just said there. So again, just to say thank you for this opportunity and to see this great partnership at work. This project is one of many partnerships between the UK and Indonesia. And as we've seen from and heard from presentations from Kemdikbudristek, we've already heard the fact that the priority is health at G20. It's also a priority between the UK and Indonesia. There's a UK-Indonesia roadmap partnership developed, which clearly has health as a central partnership for us over this next few years. And central to that, of course, is the work that you are doing in research and technology and health. And that is something I think that we would hope would extend and continue the kind of partnerships that have been developed through here. So from Newton as the project, the vehicle for this program is about research and innovation. And as you've highlighted, that's exactly what this project is doing. And it's cutting edge and at the forefront. But it's also that combination of focusing on social impact as well as technology that was referenced from York that is so very, very important. So research and innovation partnerships that exist and going on in 18 countries, the focus of economic development, social welfare, research and innovation. UK investment over these last few years have been 735 million. But the most important thing here, particularly in Indonesia, is the matching funds. The government of Indonesia has put significant matching funds to the 18 million that the UK government has put in. And that's what's made this program so successful in Indonesia. And again, the examples of this project is one of a number, but as I say, it's really important. One thing we talk about research, of course, and publications are important. What we're seeing since 2015, Indonesia research outputs increasing 43% per year until 2020. Again, it's the largest output in Southeast Asia, as it should be, a country of this size. But also the research between Indonesia and UK is in the top 5 compared to other countries. So again, we're seeing good, strong partnerships between UK and Indonesia, and this is just one of those examples. So just congratulations to York, to BINUS, to Pasar Minggu Hospital and everyone else who have been involved, and a huge thanks to Kemdikbudristek for the continuing partnership. We think this will only get bigger and bigger. And finally, congratulations to the MCs. You've done a brilliant job as well today. So thank you, everybody. Have a good day and good luck for the workshop today. Thank you.
Before we'd like to continue, we'd like to welcome Dr. Anna, the head of the department.
Sebelum kita melanjutkan, kami ingin selamat datang kepada Dr. Ana sebagai Ketua PDPI Jakarta.
Now, let us give another round of applause to all of our distinguished guests and their opening remarks. We'd like to express our deepest gratitude to the speakers, Professor Dr. Tirta, Dr. Dimitar, Dr. Sri Duni, Professor Muhammad Faiz, and Mr. Hugh, and Dr. Nunik for your speeches. We would like to invite Sir Jude, the head of the computer science, to give a token of appreciation to 3 of the speakers here today. And those are Mr. Hugh, Dr. Dimitar, and Dr. Sri Duni.
Sebelumnya kami mengucapkan terima kasih sebesar-besarnya kepada 6 pembicara, yaitu Profesor Dr. Tirta, Dr. Dimitar, Dr. Sri, Profesor Muhammad Faiz Shoaib, Mr. Yu Mofat, dan Dr. Sri. Kami ingin mengundang seluruh speaker ke atas panggung untuk menerima token apresiasi dari Mr. Jude sebagai Head of Department Computer Science. Foto bersama.
Let us now transition into presenting the research results. This section will be led by Dr. Nunung Okay. Before we head into the transition into the research results, we'd like to have a photo session together with all the speakers present.
Sebelum kita beralih ke penyajian hasil penelitian, kami ingin mengundang semuanya untuk foto bersama.
You okay? Now, let us transition into presenting the research results. This section will be led by Dr. Nunung Nurul Komaria and Dr. Dimitar Kazakov.
Mari kita beralih ke penyajian hasil penelitian. Seksi ini akan dipimpin oleh Dr. Nunung Nurul Komaria dan Dr. Dimitar Kazakov.
Dr. Nunung Nurul Komaria is the principal investigator for Indonesian team in this project. She completed the bachelor program in computer science, Gajah Mada University, Indonesia in 2006. In 2011, she completed her master's in information technology at the University of Indonesia, and in 2018, she completed her doctoral degree at computer science, the University of York, UK. She is currently an assistant professor at Binus University International, Jakarta, Indonesia. She is a former member of the Artificial Intelligence Research Group, University of York, UK. Her PhD topic is in the area of recommender systems, particularly in e-commerce users' preference, learning from pairwise comparisons.
Dr. Nunung Nurul Komariah adalah peneliti utama untuk tim Indonesia dalam proyek ini. Beliau menyelesaikan program sarjana ilmu komputer Universitas Gadjah Mada Indonesia pada tahun 2006. Pada tahun 2011, beliau menyelesaikan Magister Teknologi Informasi di Universitas Indonesia. Dan pada tahun 2018, beliau menyelesaikan gelar doktoral di Ilmu Komputer University of York, Inggris. Saat ini menjabat sebagai asisten profesor di BINUS University International, Jakarta, Indonesia. Beliau pernah menjadi anggota kelompok penelitian kecerdasan buatan Universitas York, Inggris. Topik PhD-nya adalah di bidang sistem pemberi rekomendasi, khususnya dalam preferensi pengguna e-commerce yang belajar dari perbandingan berpasangan.
Dr. Dimitar Kazakov is the principal investigator for Team UK in this project. He is an associate professor or senior lecturer in computer science at the University of York, UK, and coordinator of the Computer Science Artificial Intelligence Group. His research encompasses the development of machine learning and evolutionary algorithms and their applications to natural language processing, real-time systems, intelligent agents, function optimization, and financial forecasting.
Dr. Dimitar Kazakov adalah peneliti utama untuk tim Inggris dalam proyek ini. Dia adalah associate professor, dosen senior di bidang ilmu komputer di University of York, Inggris, dan koordinator CS Artificial Intelligence Group. Penelitian beliau meliputi pengembangan machine learning dan evolutionary algorithms dan aplikasi pada natural language processing, sistem waktu nyata, agen cerdas, optimalisasi fungsi, dan peramalan keuangan.
Let us now welcome Ms. Nunung Nurul Komariah, Eskom MTI PhD, and Dr. Dimitar Kazakov, who will be presenting their research results. Ms. Nurul and Dr. Dimitar, please come forward to the stage.
Okay, thank you everyone for attending this event, especially from British Council, from Rumah Sakit Pasar Minggu, Jakarta. Thank you so much for all my team here, for Dr. Dimitar Kazakov flying very far away, 17 hours on the plane, coming here now in Jakarta with me to deliver this workshop, to present our result with this research, current research in AI-based telemedicine for COVID-19 patient. Okay, I'm going to start first, and then I will give time to Dr. Dimitar. I'm going to introduce myself. Actually, the MC, thank you very much for introducing me. So, yeah, my name is Nunung Nurul Komariah, and usually people call me Nurul. Yeah, because that's the shortest part of my name. And currently, I'm an assistant professor or lector on subject content coordinator in computer science, Bina Nusantara University International. And this is my education background. The latest education I received from computer science, University of York, UK, with my PhD supervisor, Dr. Dimitar Kazakov. Okay. And I will let Dr. Dimitar to introduce himself.
Thank you, Nurul. So I'm Dimitar Kazakov, Dimitri, Dimitris, Demetrio, and I answer to all these names. So yes, so that's a Bulgarian name. I'm Bulgarian. I studied in the Czech Republic since the time it was still Czechoslovakia. I was there for almost 10 years for my both degrees. And I've been living in the UK for the last 24 years. So, and working at the same university. I introduced myself a few days ago here on another occasion, and so my interests are quite broad. I work on various fields within AI, machine learning, natural language processing. Of course, these two fields have got much closer nowadays. and anything in between really. And my interests are on working and developing new algorithms, but I am very keen on applications, and this project has given us the opportunity to do both. So I'm very happy and enjoy myself doing that work. So thank you for the opportunity.
Okay, thank you for the introduction. Okay, I'm starting with a very short background about this research. Why we choosing this topic? Yeah, because AI has matured over more than 6 decades. We know that AI is everywhere, and it's been successfully helped in so many domains. We name it. Yeah, AI has great potential for fighting against COVID-19. A lot of researchers in the world nowadays trying to propose solution AI based to assist the doctor and the healthcare practitioner. Yeah, because it's all of the sudden we never know something like this might happen, and then we lack of staff, we lack of a lot of things that we never imagined before. So with the help of AI, yeah, we hope that we can ease the workload of the medical staff, speed up diagnosis, reach more people even farther in the area, the remote area that is no longer having the health facility. And then we also want to disseminate the expertise. Okay, so let's jump in what we are trying to build now. So our proposed solution with this kind of condition, we call it XAI-based telemedicine. So we propose a system that powered by explainable AI. We build them inside a system which is called telemedicine. And also, not only we build a system, but we also study the data that has been given by our partner, research partner, RSUD Pasar Minggu, and we come up with a lot of insight. We use the machine learning, we use the computer vision, we use some of the natural language processing as well, and all of those technology, all of those knowledge, yeah, can help us to gain something useful from the data that given to us. And finally, we want to show you a demo of our telemedicine app here. We have the integration with IoT device, also with some wearable device in the market. Okay, so that's the general ideas about what we're proposing. Talking about our research, it's actually a 2 years research. This is what we have done from the first year, this one. So we start with the data collection with RSUD Pasar Minggu. And then, we do some data pre-processing and analysis. And then we have a definitive data set. And then we start to train our AI decision module. And then finally, at the end of first year, we come up with a standalone AI decision module. I'm going to show you what we have built in this research. And then this is what we have done in our second year. We have the workshop with the stakeholder. We have a proof of concept AI-based telemedicine that we currently built. We also writing up some publication, journal article submission, and now we currently in the stage where we have workshop for dissemination result. And then we will have the final report. Okay, I'm going to start with my first paper, our first paper. So our preliminary findings found out that from the blood test, we can actually predict the mortality. Although it's not 100% accurate, we can say that it's very strong, the result is very strong. we were given this data from 2020, March 2020, up to the end of the year. And then we have the status as the label meaning the outcome of the patient. One group is died and the other group is survived, and then we see what is the blood, what the difference between their blood pattern, and we come up with this result. And we already discussed with Dr. Duni. We can see this explainable AI here, that the red part is the high tendency of the value in this kind of biomarker. And then the blue, meaning that it's showing the lower value of this blood biomarker. And then if we see the sharp value, going to the right, it's tend to die. Going to the left, tend to survive. So this is very easy to interpret. So when the doctor see this, we can actually just, is it really true according to the theory of health or medicine? Yeah, and then some of the result was confirmed. And then our second paper is in this CXR for diagnosis. This is written by Mr. Adimas here. So we try to align this explainable part. So when we scan the X-ray, the chest X-ray, our AI model can detect, and then we can segment it, the lung area only, and then we can detect the problematic area. So we try to compare between these two algorithms. First is gradient and the other one is GradCam. And then we modify the loss function, and then finally they can see the correct place here. Exactly the same, almost the same, using two algorithms. So it doesn't matter we use this algorithm or this algorithm, finally we can see the same problematic area here. And we try to apply the algorithm, and the accuracy is very good, 87%. Okay, so our third paper is using the CT scan, lung CT scan for diagnosis, for COVID diagnosis. We use the pre-trained VGG16 model and applying GradCam for this color. So the red meaning the problematic area, the blue meaning is normal area. So basically this algorithm point out and see this area as the feature, as the something that we need to focus on. And then the doctor here that we have here can verify whether the algorithm, our model, see the right thing or not. So this is the focus of our research, explainable AI. Okay, so our next finding is with the blood test. We use the blood test for diagnosis using deep learning. So we try to compare between our dataset collected from Pasar Minggu Hospital with available dataset online in the public. We have from San Rafael Hospital and also from Albert Einstein Hospital. And we can see here, this is the blood biomarker that was found very important in this dataset. And some of them is the same here with the one that we have from Pasar Minggu Hospital. So basically this is a standard for testing the patient with COVID-19. Okay, and then one of our paper just received the best paper award. So we currently proposing the architecture. This is the one that we currently built here, and we published the architecture. This is a Raspberry Pi. We have power supply. We have sensor here, and then mini monitor LCD here, and then connected to the internet and server, and then we have the computer. So we proposing this architecture. Okay, so our next finding, this is just being submitted, not yet published, in the process of publishing. So we kind of show what is inside the vital sign. Excuse me. So when a patient is hospitalized in the hospital, the nurse or the doctor will visit them regularly, and then they will take a note. They will observe the condition of the patient, and then measure the vital sign, including the oxygen, saturation of oxygen level, blood pressure, heart rate, body temperature, and respiratory rate. Also, they also observe whether the supplemental oxygen is used or not, like the oxygen aid, ventilator or mask, or they just breathe with normal air, with the air, room air. And then we found that using the causal graph is showing the causality between feature between entity. Here, we can see that this one causes the blood pressure, temperature causes the blood pressure, and we confirm with the doctor that with the survived patient, we can see that this is how the normal human body responds. Yeah, how normal human body work. Yeah, heart rate will cause the respiratory rate, body temperature will cause the respiratory rate, and the supplemental of oxygen will cause the respiratory rate. But then when we look deeper into the subset of the diet patient here, this is really unexplainable. And this is what the data said. So this is a bit difficult to explain the causality in this diet patient group, because some of the body part is not working properly. So yeah, this is what we found in the data. Our next paper is predicting age from blood tests. Maybe Dimitar also can explain about this a little bit. So we try to predict age, patient age, from blood tests. Why? Okay, I've got so many questions from the reviewer as well. Why we need that? Okay, so first reason, okay, so because I use this fitness application a lot, and they can measure the body age based on our function of the whole body. And then when we see that in the blood test, we can also apply that. So we can see, based on the data, based on the historical data, we can see whether the blood test of a person same like their true age. And then we kind of can compare and see whether, so it might be something anomalies in this blood test that can lead to mispredicting the age. Yeah, for example, something like that. Okay, maybe I let Dr. Dimitar to explain about this later on. Okay, and then now I give the time to Dr. Dimitar to explain.
Thank you, Nurul. So that was a lot of work. I'll try to follow suit with the explanations. So just to step back from these particular results here, because that's a good question. Why do this work? There is a simpler story, then there's a more kind of deeper a story with a deeper meaning and with more importance. A simple reason to look at, say, the blood test and say what the patient's age is that a human, a living being, a doctor, when they look at the data, it's not a one-way path from data to conclusions. A doctor may look at the data and say, this is the wrong X-ray, right? Because you're telling me this is a child and that's not a child, or the other way around. So there is a bit of common sense, there is a bit of feedback, if you want, from what the doctor sees, that is in a sense a safety measure, that conclusions are not drawn from the wrong data. So that would be a simpler one simple reason why you may want to have a look at the data and say, is this really what, you know, does this data correspond to the patient on record? There is another reason which we had when we started looking at this data from this angle, which is when the pandemic started and when the first, for instance, results, news started to come from the north of Italy, from Bergamo and so on, and we saw their extremely well supplied and developed health system struggle because of the speed and the scale of the pandemic. There was a moment when we saw on the news that people had to triage the patients and decide who gets the treatment, who gets on the ventilator and so on. And one obvious indicator, which was probably the single strongest predictor of whether the patient was going to survive or not, was their biological age. So if somebody was 75 and somebody else was 38, and they were both equally poorly, and a choice had to be made from what we understand, that choice was often or very often made on the basis of age alone. And it is a very strong predictor, but it's not the only predictor. And we know from experience even that sometimes you hear somebody who is a smoker and they say, oh, you're 30 but you have the lungs of a 50-year-old. It could be the other way around. It could be a person who is older but they still have a good working body. And to have a decision which at the time may have been the only one, the only rational criterion available, if we kept this in the decision process, that age is the only factor that decides who gets the best treatment, that's a discrimination. That's probably, unless we show that this is the only factor and it applies to everyone, it's very, very questionable if that remains the only criterion to decide. So we said, can we actually look at what that patient's body, how it functions, what it looks like, and whether we can distinguish between biological age and the actual state of the body, and see whether we can look at your blood test, for instance, and say, oh, what is this, the blood test of a 30-year-old or a 50-year-old? And the result was what you see here. There is a very strong correlation, but that's not 100% correlation. And in fact, there is enough to say there is quite a lot of variance for the same age group across the whole age distribution. And that was the other reason to try to see whether a system, so that was the first step towards a system in which we would use not the biological age that is on your ID, but we would kind of infer the age from the results of the tests to say who will have the best chance to, for instance, survive if a choice had to be made. And if we can show that that decision based on medical tests rather than a simple number is a better, more successful strategy, that would be quite significant. And so that was the reason. And we did something similar with our next. Okay, so I'll mention another paper first. So what we did here was to look at the radiologist's report. So when somebody gets an X-ray, a chest X-ray, that X-ray goes in front of an expert, a radiologist who writes a report. So further down the line, instead of everyone looking at the X-ray, people read those reports, and conclusions are drawn on that basis. And so what we did was, we wanted to see to what extent an automated procedure that looks at the text can extract the important features that are the most relevant to the particular diagnosis of COVID. And in the best spirit of AI, a Bulgarian and a Chinese student looked at the data and analyzed the texts in Bahasa, and we then passed on the results to the team here in Indonesia for a confirmation, for analysis. And the results were indeed that this kind of text processing can extract important, relevant features from the reports, and also a technical detail. The tools that we used didn't have to be fine-tuned to the medical text in order to get a high level of accuracy, which was another reassuring result, and one that help us to scale this or roll this out more easily. So this is another attempt to do the same thing as we discussed, but just a moment ago, predicting the patient's age, but now not from the blood tests, but from the chest X-rays. And again, again there is a correlation, and it's a strong correlation, but of course there is quite a lot of variance, and that's a good thing. Well, that's a good thing. That's significant for the work that we do. We say that what we want to say is that yes, there are individual differences, and whatever your age, your X-ray could look quite different depending on what kind of life you've lived, for instance, or depending on the environment. Another relevant comment here is that we also looked at trying to predict the gender from the X-ray, and that's a lot easier because there are biological differences. So that's, as you see the table here, the results were very high. But again, this was something that could be used as a kind of sanity check when we look at the data. Did I want to say anything else on this? Probably not. So another interesting part of the project that I'm going to probably say more about during the discussion, during the demo session, is that we have done work on looking at a video of a person, or actually a number of persons, walk, and extracting the position of the body in the form of some sort of a stickman, and also extracting the data about their movements. So, for instance, how much does my leg swing back and forth in terms of the angle as I walk, and so on, which is data that can be used in a variety of ways. We can take this to, for instance, further, we can try to take this further to diagnose somebody who's coughing. I mean, they may be raising their hand, or their shoulders may be moving in a particular way. We may see people who are not moving well, and we can diagnose, try to link this to a particular condition, which is not only limited to COVID, but the technology is applicable to, say, people recovering from stroke, having other conditions like Alzheimer's or Parkinson's that affect movement and so on. So this is we've basically done work on the development of this kind of tool where you can take a video with your phone and then you can feed it into this tool and get results which a doctor, I don't know, an orthopedic surgeon, for instance, can analyze directly the data about the motion, but we can also train this to highlight irregularities in the patient's condition. You're going to see a demo, which I'm going to discuss later. Here's just an indication that there is a bit of a challenge here, because if that person walks at an angle towards the camera or away from the camera, the actual transformation analysis of the image has to be in 3 dimensions to extract the real results about the motions that are the motion that is taking place. More about this later. Here is just a report which covers most of the work so far that has been published in the form of a monograph, and this is another way of disseminating the work so that we can quickly get feedback but also share our findings with the community and all the stakeholders. A number of research partnerships have been developed in the course of this project so far, and of course we couldn't do anything if we weren't working with the Pasar Minggu Regional Hospital, and that's both in terms of the data that we receive from there, but also in terms of the invaluable expertise in terms of the analysis of both what the data suggests and also comments on our results. So we're extremely grateful for that. Thank you. The next thing that I want to mention is that to go from a system that takes some observations of the patient and suggests decisions for triage, maybe even treatment, to turn this into a kind of closed loop system where the patient is constantly monitored and maybe the decisions about what happens to that patient are reviewed over time. We need some continuous monitoring of that patient. And for that we have considered a number of wearable devices, and one of them is, for instance, the sort of fitness bracelet produced by Garmin, where essentially the work is towards the integration of an off-the-shelf tool with our algorithms, so that what we do extends the functionality of that device and vice versa. We can quickly roll out what we do because the device that is required is already available, tested, and it's on the market. Of course, also we need to recognize the software developers, because everybody is best at what they do, and maybe the best standards of software development are not necessarily in academia, or even if we know what is the best thing to do, the capacity to do things and do them well is, I think there is the best balance is to split this task between academia and industry, and so again another very helpful collaboration that can continue hopefully in the future. Here is the absolutely awesome team from the BINUS side. I guess Nurul is going to say a word or two about each of them, I guess.
Okay, I would like to say thank you so much. Thank you very much for all the team that has been working in this project. I would like to mention Dr. Ardimas from BINUS. Thank you so much. Dr. Ida Bagus Manuaba, which currently on leave. Thank you very much for the help. Dr. Duni Atas Sri from RSUD Pasar Minggu. Thank you very much for your valuable feedback, insight, and Dr. Maria Serra, who helped us to build this IoT system. And then several, I cannot mention everyone in here, all of my students, MC is also part of this team. Thank you so much. And also some of my students already in, I don't know, somewhere in Australia or somewhere I cannot even found them anymore. Okay, and also from Malio Technology. Thank you so much for the help.
So a few words about the York team. We have two investigators, myself, and a person from the electronics department, Aidar Pella, who is a co-investigator and whose expertise provided the inspiration behind the work on pose estimation. And you see a list of names as well. These are all current or former students, and I've realized that what we've managed to do is to offer a job after a number of students completed their degree. That was probably their first job, other than maybe some side business that they've had during their studies. We've done this for one PhD student who's finished their degree, one master's by research, and 3 undergraduates, just very recent undergraduates. They've all done an excellent job. We also employed one current undergraduate, and we're training and working with one current PhD student, all towards building a team, but also I've realized how successful that combination is when a student has spent 3 months on an individual project, and when you see that they've done really well, you invite them to apply their skills to something that you're trying to achieve. I want to kind of try to conclude this part with a few observations. The grant has been explicitly labeled that it serves to build institutional links. So let's see what we've achieved so far, or what that funding has achieved. We have, I dare say, a new research team with excellent and complementary skills at Binus University. And I think you all here should be very proud of this, if I may say so. We have built close collaboration between the University of York and Binus University, which started as an individual partnership, collaboration between me and Nurul after she left York. But all of a sudden now I see a room full of people, and I'm extremely pleased about that. And we have close links with Pasar Minggu Hospital, which provides both data and medical expertise. We have close links with the software industry to ensure standards of implementation, and also the longevity of tools, because very often we develop a piece of software during the project, and then the funding is over and that thing just disappears because there's nobody to maintain it. And the PhD student who's done it, he's got a real job, and now nobody knows how that code was written. So I explicitly asked that several people, that the code has to be seen by various people, not just by the people who developed it. And everybody looked at that and said, oh, okay, I don't understand maybe something. Okay, but maybe then let's explain it. Or that could be done better. Well, let's do it. And I think that process was very fruitful, very useful. Finally, I think I should say, well, not finally, but on this slide, that a number of students and recent graduates gained experience in research and development. And this hopefully creates the grounds for an emerging ecosystem where people do walk away from academia, but some of them, they stay in touch. And if we need them, they know what we need. We know what they can do. And that would be a useful thing, especially since a lot of this work is done on a relatively limited budget, so we cannot just hire a bunch of people and make them sit there and work for us when we need them, and even when we don't need them. A few final remarks. A software platform has emerged that is scalable, And we've made sure that this is the case and customizable to local needs, so we can actually create several platforms for different countries, different systems, different needs. We're on the road, I'd say, maybe not very far down that road, but we're certainly definitely heading in that direction to integration with commercial off-the-shelf wearable devices to close that loop from monitoring to medical decisions and to assist early adoption. And yes, there is a clear potential for commercialization, I would say, but we won't turn down any more funding. So if anybody offers us, we'll take it, and that will serve a good purpose. And if they don't offer it, we'll ask anyway, because we need to do more development. We need to do data collection. More data means better algorithms, more accurate decisions, and we need to interact with all the stakeholders, doctors, managers, patients. So if you've given us money, we'll be in touch. Okay.
Yeah, I think that's all from us. Thank you very much. We will continue with the demo with from the apps. Thank you so much for the time and attention.
Kaki kita.
Once again, thank you, Dr. Nurul and Dr. Dimitar, for presenting the research results. And based on those research results just now, we would like to showcase our app titled NewMed, a new AI-based telemedicine app for COVID-19 patients. A quick disclaimer, the current rendition of this app only contains the basic features, and in the future, we wish to incorporate other AI-based features. For now, please enjoy the demo video.
Terima kasih Dr. Nurul dan Dr. Dimitar atas presentasinya. Sebagai hasil penelitian ini, kami ingin menampilkan aplikasi kami yang berjudul NewMed, aplikasi telemedicine berbasis AI baru untuk pasien COVID-19. Versi saat ini dari aplikasi ini hanya berisi fitur-fitur dasar. Di masa depan, kami ingin menggabungkan fitur berbasis AI lainnya. Silakan menikmati video demonya.
Presenting NewMed. NewMed is an AI-based new telemedicine system that aims to 1. Assist and alleviate the workload of medical staff in the fight against COVID. 2. Build better communication channels between doctors and patients. And 3. Increase accessibility to hospital care remotely and connects patients to a facility at a short distance. NewMed can connect doctors, patients, both inpatient and isolated patients, as well as hospital administrators remotely without the need to install anything on their electronic devices. Our system can read and interpret results from radiology images, lung CT scans, and blood tests. The AI-integrated NewMed can assist health professionals in detecting pneumonia and COVID-19 from a single image with just a few clicks and from the comfort of your own home. Open the NewMed app on your web browser, upload an X-ray or CT scan image of your lungs, and the app will predict a diagnosis in just a few short seconds. Using NewMed can save you the time and effort that you spend tirelessly at the hospital. We also provide the integration with IoT device for a more affordable solution, in which your vital readings will be sent to the cloud and integrated with the NewMed platform.
NewMed is powered by explainable artificial intelligence, which can detect and monitor patients with suspected or confirmed COVID-19. We train our AI model with several datasets from many reliable sources. We focus on the explainable aspect of AI technology because we wanted this technology to be a good companion for the doctors to assist them in making faster decisions.
With the explainable AI, the doctors and the experts can see whether our AI models see the correct things or no, so they can verify. This allows us to keep improving our AI model by getting consistent feedback from the doctors.
NUMED also offers comprehensive hospital management system that allows healthcare facilities to create patient profiles, monitor room capacity, patient alerts, and EWS index. Technology can enable us to disperse healthcare needs across the nation, and NUMED can provide the ecosystem for that purpose. Our app can have the potential to provide immediate response for patients whose lives are needed to be saved. Recover stronger and recover together with NUMED.
Next up, there will be a demo video for the OpenPose app from Dr. Dimitar.
Selanjutnya ada video demo aplikasi OpenPose dari Dr. Dimitar.
Thank you. Okay, so what you're going to see is still not, am I okay there? What you're going to see is still not part of the main platform, but is a technology we've been developing in order to be able to integrate this in any future solutions. So I mentioned this briefly in our previous presentation, so I'm going to just show you a little bit more detail. What we are trying to achieve here is to essentially point a camera at the person and using just a single camera, single lens, if you want, single eye, to try to estimate how that person moves. And so we have, as you see here, one of the students who worked on the project, Nicholas Forstner. You see the person, and you see that the body, all the joints are highlighted, and the movement. So the actual positions of these points are converted into angles and how much each joint can swing, how fast it moves, maybe how forceful that movement is, or the acceleration, which obviously is proportional to force, and so on. And that task has two levels of difficulty. If we look at the person from the side, we can just look at the data as two-dimensional data, and if you see me just in profile, then that motion will give you a good idea how my knees and my maybe thighs and my ankles move. If you want to see how my shoulders move, then I should probably turn and face the camera. If we want to do this both at the same time, then we need an intermediate angle, so that person needs to move somehow diagonally towards the camera. And so that is the next level of the challenge, where here, if you can see, there is a green skeleton which coincides with the positions of the joints as seen on the picture. And this is part of the York campus, probably not, it's very peripheral, but still part of where some of the student accommodation is. And this is here converted, the red little stick man is actually the position of the body now rotated to show how the body moves from the side. So we try to recover data about the three-dimensional position of all the joints in order to then convert this into some data about the angles, the velocity, and the acceleration of the joints. So this is what you see, but this is the full scale of the movement as seen from the side, for instance. So there's a much greater range of motion on that second stick person. So Yeah, I think just keep this slide. Then you can see that if you see the person from the side, this is what you see, and this is the data without the correction. What you see in red, and the green is the data recovered. So very close to what you see here, recovered from that position, diagonal walk, essentially. We also can we get data about the level of confidence in the readings that we collect. Just what I wanted to mention. So at the beginning, some uncertainty, you don't know what's going on because you don't have enough data, and then there is some level of confidence, and as you probably disappear, or as the angle is very sharp, you cannot be sure. So you can attach also how certain you are to what you see. And this is just some maths which we don't want to talk about. This is the data that we have. So the training data is a combination of what comes from the camera and an additional device that gives you the depth. So you see that this figure is much closer than the background. And from this we combine this to prepare the data to train the algorithms in order to get that transformation. So so we have the person as we see it, and then that is actually twisted, if you want, in order to get the true full projection, as if that person was walking fully parallel to the camera. So probably a bit too technical, but the idea is that we can get this kind of data and give it to the diagnosticians who may be interested in this for a variety of reasons. As I said, patients who are with long COVID, their walk is still affected, and there is some work that has been done on this. But also it could be a variety of other conditions, people with Parkinson's, people recovering from stroke, people with inflammatory disease, and so on. So this again is the starting point for a broader range of collaborations, hopefully in the future as well. Okay, that's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Dimitar, for the quick demo on OpenPose. We will now move on to the live demo, another live demo, which will be conducted by our research team, led by Mr. Ari Pramuja, Mr. Ardimas Andi Purwita, and Brin Algifar. Would Mr. Ari, Mr. Ardimas, and Brin please come on stage?
Terima kasih Dr. Dimitar atas demonya. Sekarang kita akan beralih ke live demo yang dilakukan oleh tim peneliti kami yang dipimpin oleh Bapak Ari Pramuja, Bapak Ardimas Adi Purwita, dan Brin Algifar. Dipersilakan Pak Ari, Pak Ardimas, dan Brin untuk naik ke atas panggung.
Oke. Jadi ini demo integrasinya ke Garmin Watch. So we're demoing the integration for the NewMed app to Garmin. So here I'm just gonna log in. Okay, and now I'm logged in. And to use your Garmin watch with the NewMed AI app, you go to the Garmin tab, and basically you need to create a Garmin Connect account, and you can log. And after you create that account, to integrate with the application, you can click login through here. And then this is the page where you log in. So now, if I just scroll down and then I enter in my credentials, jadi masukin informasi login. So I have it here, and I click sign in. Okay, so here we're just giving it permissions of what data we want to share. Click save. And then do you want to connect with NewMed? Click agree. And once that's done, it'll redirect you to the back to the NewMed app page, and you can click sync to sync the data that your Garmin watch has collected. So if I click sync here, it should show up with all my heart rate data, and you can also see the timestamps here. So here we can see that it synced all the way to 126, and we can also see other data such as O2 levels, oxygen saturation, and also the respiration data. Jadi ini data heart rate, detak jantung, saturasi oksigen, dan juga respirasi. Oke, dan kalau mau di-sync, oke, kita bisa masuk ke aplikasi Garmin-nya. So we can go into the Garmin app. So if you look at it on Play Store or iOS, it's called Garmin Connect. And here it's syncing. So here now you can see that it's 120. Right now it's 14:45. And so once it's done syncing, any moment now. Okay. It should sync new data. So here now we have new data from 2:45, which is just 1 minute ago. And that should work for the rest of the data. And that's it for the Garmin integration. Dan itu aja untuk integrasi dari Garmin. Terima kasih.
Oke. Ini yang ini ya? Oke. Jadi sekarang kita demoin integrasi antara alat IoT kita yang terdiri dari beberapa sensor, ada 3 sensor, suhu tubuh, saturasi oksigen, dan detak jantung kan. Snapshot dari penggunaan IoT ini udah ada di video, jadi mungkin akan susah terlihat. Jadi yang akan kita demokan adalah, ini kameranya bisa dekat lagi nggak ya? Bisa ya? Bisa zoom in ke LCD ini? Nggak bisa. Like this. Yeah. Demo di LCD nih. Ya. Jadi di sini ada like there are 3 numbers here, right? BPM, oxy, and temperature. The first one is beat per minute, and oksigen saturasi, dan temperature in Celsius. Jadi dan di sini ada ID-nya, ID measurement. Nanti yang akan kita tunjukkan. That's enough. Thank you, Dimitar. Thank you very much. So in the dashboard app, we can open the vital sign reading. Jadi ceritanya, narasinya adalah pasiennya sudah mengukur data di alat IoT-nya, dan data sudah ditransmit ke cloud. Lalu, nah, seperti tercatat di alat IoT, jadi ID terakhir adalah 59B1, paling bawah. Nah, paling bawah itu 59B1. Bentar. Nah, dari situ setelah mengukur dan diupload ke cloud, admin dari dashboard ini dapat melihat data yang barusan terukur oleh si pasien secara real time lah istilahnya. Yang sekarang respiratory rate, yang terakhir ini temperature in degree Celsius. Begitu demonya. Terima kasih banyak. Udah apa lagi? Udah? Oh ya. Mungkin yang terakhir ya, demo AI-nya, explainable AI secara live. Okay, all right. So he's nervous. Okay, that's common. All right. So first we need to upload the CXR image, right? Yeah. choose the hospital, and then choose the image, right? Assuming that the patient already got the CXR result. So let's first try the normal one, meaning that there should be no COVID detected here. Fingers crossed, hopefully the AI says the correct result. Takes time to analyze, and then it says that 99% confident that it's a normal one. And then let's try the problematic one now. Again, same protocol, choose the hospital, and then choose the problematic CXR image. Analyzing, takes time. Ding, dum, dum, dum. Should be there should be a music here. So forget that one. Okay, it says that 98% kind of percentage that it's detecting a COVID here, and then it says the right lung part is the problematic one. So that's what it means by explainable in our prototype here. Okay. So no, the blood test. I mean, CT scans will be the same. Let's shorten the time. Yeah, let's try the blood test. Here, instead of uploading image, now once the patient got the blood test result, so they can enter the numbers manually or by uploading the Excel file, for example, right? And then, yeah, it says positive. Yeah, this come from the our AI as well. Okay, I think that's it. Okay, I think that's it. Yeah. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, everyone. Hopefully you enjoy our impromptu show here. Thank you very much. Bye bye.
Thank you, Mr. Ari, Mr. Ardimas, and Bryn for the live demo. We will now hold a Q&A session and an open discussion to talk in more detail about the research results, NewMed, and OpenPose.
Terima kasih Pak Ari, Pak Ardimas, dan Bryn untuk live demonya. Kami sekarang akan mengadakan sesi tanya jawab dan diskusi terbuka untuk berbicara lebih detail tentang hasil penelitian dan NewMed.
I'll start with a little anecdote here. I was maybe a third year undergraduate student, and someone came to me and said, could you write a piece of software, accounting software for the Czech Red Cross? And I said, surely they have some commercial software that they can buy rather than me developing something from scratch, because I don't know much about accounting. And they said, yes, we bought a very nice piece of accounting software, but our accountant said that it's too complicated for her. So she said, if you keep the software, I leave. And because they said we can't find a good accountant for that salary, so we need something simpler, something that actually she needs rather than all the extra functions. And in the end, it turned out that she needed like 3 spreadsheets, which I programmed, and every time she needed an extra row in the spreadsheet, they paid me, I don't know, £5, £10, and I went to add that row to the code. So what I want to say is that we come with technical solutions which are hopefully good, but I think it's very important to know from the users, from the stakeholders, how that would fit potentially with their workflow. So from my point of view, I have a question for Dr. Duni here. what would be a good system that could be easily integrated with the daily life of a doctor on the ward that could help them in any way. And maybe that would be a different system for someone who's already an expert, a pulmonologist and so on. And there may be a slightly different application or different way of using it. Maybe for a doctor who is not a specialist and who doesn't have that much access to, I don't know, a radiologist and so on, that where the processes of obtaining the results from the tests and analyzing them may take longer. And there may be even a third way of doing things. If there is a patient who can go and get an X-ray from a commercial lab, which do exist in many countries, you go, you pay, they do whatever you pay for, but then what do you do with that X-ray? So what do you think is a potential way of using any such additional computer expertise that could be actually easily added to the daily life of a doctor in the country? That would be my question. How would you imagine it? Even if we can't do it yet, what would you want from us?
Thank you. Wow, this is I think the first thing we need as soon as possible is early detection for disease. And if we talk about COVID, now it's become a mild for COVID than before after the mass vaccination. But some people trying to be get heavier disease in COVID. So early detection for COVID, if people can access the NUMAT and they can have early detection. If they need to go to the doctor, if they need to go to the hospital, or they can just stay home for recovery. Yeah, I think that's we need it as soon as possible.
Okay, so this is actually in relation to Ibu's needs a while back. So maybe I could also suggest something to Bunurul's and Dimitar's research group or research team. So we're actually looking into the likeliness of a certain person being able to contract COVID, or the highly likely perhaps to contract COVID based on his profile. Yabu, like, okay, I have my profile and there's a you're highly likely to be infected by COVID due to these reasons. Kan? So I know the team has already been working on blood samples to determine the age. So maybe it would also be nice to look into the blood type of a certain person to see the likeliness perhaps of them being able to contract some sort of a disease based on their blood type. Yeah, it's just an opinion that I'm looking into as well, which you could also be able to look into perhaps in your future endeavors. And yeah, it's really impressive work. I guess that's it. Thank you.
I read some paper that there's a link that the kind of blood type trying to have some diseases. But in medical study, we're not using blood type and link it with a disease. Some studies, yes, they said that they're all linked. They're linked. That some types tend to have some diseases. Yes, that's my answer.
I'm going to add my limited knowledge, expert knowledge to this. Yes, I mean, at the beginning we were reading, from the start of the pandemic, we were reading research papers where people were looking for genetic markers that affected the severity of the disease, and there seemed to be a clear-cut case for about 12 different genes that affect how severely the patients may be affected. And there was also a kind of, you can have a map of the spread of these genes. So in Europe, there was about, I'm not sure, but maybe about 1 person in 12 who had those genetic markers together. And in Bangladesh, that was up to 66%. So 2/3 of the population had a much higher risk. And that was also present in literally, I mean, when COVID hit the United Kingdom, the first 100 people in the National Health Service to die from COVID, you had their names and photographs on the front page of one of the newspapers, and you could see that there were a lot of people from Southeast Asia that were on the list, and you can say maybe this is the kind of jobs they do that they're most exposed, but they seem to be also this link. I mean, the paper came later, so there is a link. We know. Yes, I think the blood group, there were results that, let's say if you have your blood group is A, I think the risk was a bit higher. With malaria, we know that the blood group affects this the severity of the disease, and I believe there is a link between this and cholera, I think, and so on. So this is in general. I think it's a good point that you can have different priors in the system to say a patient with this profile is a higher risk. And of course, age is a very strong factor, but what you're saying is a good point. And if the data is available, we could potentially feed this into the system in a kind of Bayesian way, where you say we have a prior distribution of the risk, and after we've looked at the additional data, tests and so on, we can correct this. So yeah, that's a very good point.
What is the high risk score, but maybe with the use of studies that prove that we can maybe next time for the future, in the future we can use that.
If anything, this is a call for trying to collect more data. So it's going back to our to the medical profession and collaboration with the hospitals. But of course, there are larger data sets that we can now access, also in the UK. And I think we need to combine this and use the original data to confirm any findings, because maybe data collected from the UK where people have a different, it's a different population to see how these results compare with the data collected here. So yeah, that's a good point. The more, I think, if since that's supposed to be a discussion, let me dream for a moment. Well, we can dream of a world with no diseases, but if we want to treat those that are around, I'm thinking how every time somebody applies for funding, they say, we'll develop a software solution that will solve all our problems, and that will be the last solution you will ever need. And if that is to happen, and if that solution is to survive, and I guess the huge majority, they don't, we need, the main thing for us is to collect more data. So if we can come up with a software solution, with the platform, with the tool that says, okay, we offer you a free consultation with all the warnings that this is not a doctor, this is not a replacement for going to the doctor and so on. If we can get people to upload data so we can collect that data and to get them maybe later to follow this up with what happened to them, if we can find an incentive to do that, that would be the best thing that can happen to this project, because we need more data. As soon as we get more data, the algorithms will be getting better, and then there will be even more interest. So we need to close that positive feedback loop and maybe start to promote the platform once we are ready to do that in order to collect that data. So that, I think that's an important thing to happen in order for this to go forward.
Let me return the question to Dimitar now. How is the condition in the UK actually? How the AI is being implemented in the hospital? I mean, trying to find that kind of information on the Google, but I can hardly find it. If you could share some of the situation in the UK, how AI being implemented in the hospital for mitigating the COVID pandemic, that will be great for us. Yeah.
This is actually a good question. I think the first thing that I can say is that when Nurul first mentioned telemedicine to me, I wasn't quite sure what she had in mind, because this level of being able to contact somebody on the internet and a specialist and talk to them. You see, for instance, anecdotal evidence among the immigrant communities. Somebody says, I need to talk to a doctor from my country so they understand what I mean, and so on. Or I trust them better because, I don't know. So I don't know, you dial someone on Skype to ask them. But as a systemic approach that, there is a market for this and that people offer this, I don't know, Nurul was talking about 13 different software platforms. I don't think that exists in the UK. There is one private health provider that offers consultations within 24 hours, if I remember well, online. And that's about all that I can think of. In terms of integrating AI within this decision process, there is a lot on the news way that you see, publications coming from Oxford, Cambridge, or all the other places. There isn't much AI that I see as a patient. what is the, and it may be there, but I don't see it. And I mentioned the conversation I had just before the pandemic started. An orthopedic surgeon from the hospital contacted me and said, okay, I want to speed up the process, the time between a patient seeing a GP, the first point of contact, the general practitioner, and the moment when I see that patient. If they really need me, they shouldn't be waiting that long, because that wait could take time. I mean, typically I go to my doctor and I say, look at me, I don't think I'm all right. And they look at me and they say, you're not losing a lot of weight, unfortunately. You know, you look quite all right. You're not that old. You'll probably be okay. Why don't you go home and call me in a week, right? And if you have fever, take paracetamol. If you don't have fever, you're in a bit of pain, take a paracetamol. And you know, so they do the statistics and they play that game because, okay, if they start running all the tests on you for every single ailment, maybe they're not going to cope even without the pandemic. And right now, the system has a huge backlog of patients with you know, all sorts of conditions that they haven't had the chance to have the treatment for because, you know, hospitals were only treating emergency patients and the GP clinics were only offering advice online. That was the case for a long time. So, to go back to my example, you know, the guy says, we need a system where a GP can say, yeah, I think you need to see an orthopedic surgeon, not in a year's time, not in 6 months' time, but you know, much sooner, because it's easier to treat them. There are conditions where you deteriorate, where if you start the treatment, you can stop it getting worse, but you cannot reverse it very well. So yeah, there was even a lot of funding announced just before COVID. There was this round of funding for AI in health, and it said, I don't know, you can ask for up to, I don't know, £150,000, so a little bit more than what we got for this project. In the first round, as a proof of concept. Second round, no limit. You convince us that this is useful and it will help us, we'll give you the money, if you make the case. And I was like, nobody has ever told me, you know, you can ask for as much as you want. But of course, that again has changed, because I think the country spent £300 billion pounds on, you know, recovering, going through that crisis, you know, from helping people not to starve because they couldn't go to work to treating patients. So I think there is a huge demand for solutions which are cost effective. Again, York is a very good place to go and talk to people, because if you go to the Department of Health Economics, of Health Sciences, you see people who work on health economics, and you see even people who are on the NICE committee. This is an abbreviation that basically it's a bunch of people that sit and say, okay, that treatment costs that much, and we'll give you, I don't know, 12, 15 months of quality of life adjusted, extended life. Should we give you this money for the treatment? So you can go and talk to them and see, you know, what's the reasoning behind these processes. And I believe that anything that can relieve some of the pressure from the doctors in particular. I think the UK is one of the countries with the highest number of nurses compared to the number of doctors, because they say, okay, this is a specialized job. If we have a doctor, they will have to do this every day, all day long. Why can't we train a nurse to do this? And then you have a nurse doing just this, which helps to a point. But I think that I saw some World Health Organization stats that said there are 19 nurses for every doctor in the UK. I don't think there is another country with that ratio. In Mexico, there is 1.5 doctors per nurse. It's the other way around. So And of course, there is the approval, whether this AI can be approved to be used in conjunction with the doctor, maybe even on its own, as it happens in very few exceptional cases in the US now, to diagnose some retina diseases and so on. So this is the other thing that I'm interested in, and I've been talking to Nurul about, which is you have a bunch of algorithms. How do you compare them in a fair manner using a methodology that health scientists use to say this treatment is better than that treatment? Okay, it all boils down to some statistical tests, you'll say, but if you I believe that if you don't do it the way they do it, you won't convince them. And that's why I've started talking also to people at York about this, about some proof of concept work where we compare algorithms the same way we compare traditional treatments or diagnostic processes. So I think this is where we should look at.
Okay, thank
you,
Dimitar. So the future is bright, I believe. Thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you everyone for chiming in on the discussion just now. Topics such as the importance of data collection and how implementing AI versus its actual practicality are very insightful topics and things that we should consider when developing these sort of solutions for the general public. Before we conclude the workshop, both of us would like to apologize for any inconvenience that we may have caused. On the behalf of the Venus research team, we thank everyone for their valuable time, especially our distinguished guests for attending this workshop. We will continue to improve our research with everyone's ideas in mind. We hope that if another pandemic were to occur, we would be quicker to respond with our new gain knowledge and research. We hope that everyone here continues to contribute to the society with their respective strengths and fields in order to solve the potential problems we may face in the future, united as one. We also hope that this collaboration doesn't stop here and that there will be future research ideas. Lastly, we would like everyone to please fill in the attendance form for people viewing this workshop online. A link will be provided through the Zoom, and those attending this workshop offline can scan the QR code.
Sebelum mengakhiri workshop, kami berdua ingin meminta maaf atas ketidaknyamanan yang mungkin kami timbulkan. Atas nama tim peneliti BINUS, kami mengucapkan terima kasih kepada semua orang atas waktu yang berharga, terutama tamu-tamu terhormat kami yang telah menghadiri workshop ini. Kami akan terus meningkatkan penelitian kami dengan mempertimbangkan ide-ide semua orang. Kami berharap jika pandemi lain terjadi, kami akan lebih cepat merespons dengan pengetahuan dan penelitian baru yang kami peroleh. Kami berharap semua orang di sini terus berkontribusi kepada masyarakat dengan kekuatan dan bidang masing-masing untuk memecahkan potensi masalah yang mungkin kita hadapi di masa depan. Kami juga berharap kerjasama ini tidak berhenti sampai di sini aja dan ada ide-ide penelitian selanjutnya. Terakhir, kami ingin mengingatkan untuk semua orang untuk mengisi formulir kehadiran yang dibagikan melalui Zoom dan semua tamu yang menghadiri workshop ini secara offline. Terima kasih.
Yeah, we'll give a quick moment for those that needs to scan. But now we would like to also invite all of our guests for a coffee break and networking session in the main hall.
Sekarang kami ingin mengundang semua tamu kami untuk rehat kopi dan sesi networking di aula utama.